Hey everyone, welcome back to Bros and Shows. I'm your host Josiah, aka Muller67, and with me, as always, I got my buddy, I got my pal, I got my brother Austin. Austin, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing fantastic. How's everyone else doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, baby.
Maybe.
Baby, I've been going to work, falling asleep early because I just can't keep myself up to playing games, and I don't know why that is.
You're getting older, young man.
I'm getting older. I'm also I'm sitting in front of a computer all day anyways. So my willingness to sit in front of a computer when I get home is kind of strained to the point of if my friends aren't playing it, I don't really want to. And there's not a game that is captivating me to sit in front of my computer more. So I just find myself coming home and just being well, I guess I'll watch something on TV and then just play games on my phone and then go to bed. And that's what my days have been for the last, week? 2 weeks now? Because whenever people want to play Helldivers or Phasmophobia or games, I'm more than willing to do it, and I'll play for hours. But if I'm by myself, I'm I don't know, I don't want to sit in front of my computer, so I'll just lay down on my bed and just put something on and then just kind of scroll through my phone, playing games on my phone. And I've been content with that. Even though there's a side of me that really wants to continue playing certain games. I really want to continue playing Red Dead Redemption 2 because I have it. But I'll be honest, man, I can maybe do one or two missions in that game, and then I'm just all right, I'm good for a while. I just don't have that drive to go on. I'm interested in the story and everything, but not interested in doing all the keep up in that game.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. And the thing is with that game though is to be real with people, I don't think the game really gets really good until halfway through the game, in my opinion, because there's a lot of cool missions that do happen. And then there's those humorous missions that I love, which I don't know if you've made it to my favorite humorous mission where
definitely not. I'm still in Valentine. I'm in chapter 2. I am not far at all.
After chapter 2, I think it picks up a lot. It becomes a way better game because you got more upgrades and stuff like that you can do, and more, it's more smooth and mission wise. So I'm yeah, that makes sense. But also, a lot of people don't.
I just got done with the mission where I had to retrieve money from a dude, and he coughed in my face, and I'm oh yeah, I can get pretense here. I get what's happening here. Because you don't put something like that in the game. I wonder, a side of me thought, I'm okay, hold up. This happens here, right? I wonder if I could just shoot and kill this guy. And if I could just kind of move on. I also thought the same thing whenever I was robbing, I was part of the robbery on the train. And there was certain people. I'm can I just kill all these people? Does this change the game? I don't know what aspects of these games gets changed or added or moved because of it. And I'm I don't know. I don't know what I can or can't get away with. For my first time ever, I got wanted just because I roamed into the wrong area. And then I gunned down a couple of the police people coming after me. And I'm how do I reduce my wanted level? This isn't Grand Theft Auto where if I just run away from you for so long, it, my wanted level disappears. No, I am now officially wanted everywhere I go, and I do not know how to remove that.
Oh, that's easy. You just got to go to the closest post office and pay your fine, which is you can find. Yeah, that's exactly what you do.
That never was told to me in the game. I just got gunned down by a bunch of cops, and I was oh, how
so
do
they
I
don't
remove this?
That's a problem I had too, because I was what the heck's going on? Why can I not do this? Usually I just run away and then it happens.
Yeah.
But what it is if you go to the closest post office, you pay your bounty, but then you can kind of do other things to manipulate the bounty. Like if you do some side missions, look for the side missions to be a lawman, and then it will reduce your bounty sentences so you don't have to pay so much money.
Because
Yeah, it's
right
kind of like
now
Grand
I'm
Theft
like,
Auto.
I have like $100 on me right now. Not much. Like it's not much.
Yeah.
But like I accidentally walked into the wrong area. Then it's like bounty $5. I got 4 people shooting at me. I gunned them down because, you know, I'm a quick shooter, whatever. Now I own like $35. I'm like, dude, that's like half my money, man. I don't want to pay that.
I had the same thing happen where I accidentally clicked a button and I robbed a grave, and I didn't mean to, and someone saw it and brought it out, and I was like, we ain't no police, you robbed grave. And I was like, oh man. So then I had to look it up, and then come to find out you don't get that wanted level until like a little bit towards after Valentine, because there's something that happens in Valentine that makes you wanted, and you have to, then they tell you how to do that because they don't expect you to get wanted before then. And I'm like,
Well,
that's
like,
kind of stupid.
I got wanted because one of the missions wanted me to like rescue someone. So it's
Mhm.
like, go here to rescue this person. I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to go there and rescue
Oh
this
yeah,
person.
you're in the highly
And I start-
restricted area.
I start
Yeah.
going, and then that's what
Mhm.
I just took a step in, and instantly like these dudes are like, what do you think you're doing? So I turn right around, I'm like, my bad, guys. Then they just
And
start
then they
shooting
came
at
after
me, and I was like, the freak, I'm not in restricted area. Yes, I accidentally went there. The mission told me to go here. I didn't know I was entering in a no-go area. Nothing told me that. So I got really upset. And then I thought if I just died, maybe it would go away. Nope, doesn't go away. I'm like, this sucks. Now I died, and I lost a bunch of money.
Yeah, and the thing is with that game though too is you'll find out once here. All right, cool. You'll find out like real quick about the game where there's like certain ways you can do certain missions by just like bypassing them. Like that wanted one, I actually found a way to bypass it completely, not by like, you know, sneaking around. I found a place where I just had to like park the horse, and it brought in the animation a little bit, and then it was like, okay, sneak up here, and I'm like, oh, okay. So, but there's a lot of missions where like they'll have like those secret ways to do stuff, or you could do it
around it.
or you can just do it the way that I like to do it with bank robbery. Guns a-blazing, boys.
So like that's my thing. I didn't realize that once I got into the area, I was supposed to like put like the crowl on or whatever that is, the handkerchief. Because when that happened, my brain went, "Oh, I should have put on my handkerchief." I wish it would have gave me a warning before I entered the area about it.
You'll be fine. Just
Nope.
that will be the only mission that you do that in. Like if I remember.
It's cool. I was planning on doing it. I just anytime a game gives me chance to like spare or kill people, I'm always super debating on doing it or not. I almost got wanted one time because I was like, I stopped this person from beating this other person up, and like I held him right there, and I had 2 options. I could dismiss or beat. And my brain thought, oh, if I beat him, like I can like basically threaten him not to do this again. I didn't know beat was actually murder. Because I hit him in the head and killed him, and then the other dude was like, oh my god, he killed the guy, I'm gonna go tell someone, runs off. And I was like, I just saved you from this guy who was trying to kill you. So I had to run, beat him, but this time I knew not to kill him, so I dismissed, threatened him, and then he's like, all right, I ain't saying jack, and he walked away. I'm like, why would they put the thing as beat to actually mean kill? Like, why would they not just specifically say like kill? I don't know. Like it's little things like that.
I will tell you this is like when you talk,
Mm-hmm.
when you talk to people in that game, do not trust them unless they give you something very worthy to trust, because there is someone that manipulates you all through the game if you don't know what's going on, and it's very interesting.
So I've only done 2 side missions, 2 like stranger missions. And one was a guy who got bitten by a snake, and I had to suck out the poison or let him die. I sucked out the poison, and the dude's like, thanks, man, I live. He's like, yeah, just don't tell anyone. Like, I'm like, fair enough. Like, I saved him. I don't know if that's going to come up, right? And then the other one was this woman who horse died on the road, and she got like crumbled by it. So I like removed the horse and then put her on the thing and took her back to the place, and then she left. So I was like, all right, those are the only 2 I got. And
so you didn't choose to leave her. Okay, good.
Why? What happens if you choose to leave her?
She is a notorious bank robber.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, her goonies show up out of the bushes, and they're like, "What were you planning on doing? Leaving her?" And you're like, "Yeah." He's like, "We're gonna rob you," and I was like, "Bad mistake, boys." Yeah, like that's
Wow,
what
I
I love
had
about
no
that
idea.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what's great about that game and why I love that game is there's like you think the most innocent person could not be. There's I don't. Okay, I'm gonna spoil you on this. There's a
Okay.
guy in town that asks for money. Like you'll probably meet him, and he asks for money, and he's dressed up as someone, as like a soldier, and he'll be like,
Okay.
"Oh, I'm poor. Can you give me some money?" Don't trust him, because if he asks for a hug, give him a hug. But he's not who he says he is. So if you keep talking to him in dialogue, be like, "Well, why do you need the money?" "Well, I'm a soldier from the Civil War and like I need help." And it's like, "Why?" And it's like, "Well, because the government won't help me." And then you come to find out he's like a swindler. You're like, "Oh wow."
It's like
Yeah.
the guy in New York whenever we were little to our dad. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
When the
yeah,
guy,
yeah.
when dad gave him like $20 and then he walks around the corner and then he actually like gets like just takes off his clothes into like nice clothes. And my
Yep.
dad just stopped. He's like, "I never trusted anyone again." And the guy just gave him a look like, "Gotcha, buddy." I don't know. That was
Yeah.
crazy. No,
That game's pretty cool. You'll get so two of my favorite missions. I'll just state what they are, but I'm not going to tell you what happens.
Okay.
The circus animals escape. That is a phenomenal one of my favorite ones. You're gonna laugh so hard when you play that one because I laugh so hard. And then the second one is I'm locked under. I think it's called "Help Me." I'm locked under the gunsmith. Which is a very funny but weird, like some of the stories like on side missions, like when you don't think that there is a side mission, but then you walk up to something and it's like, "Hey, I have a quest for you," and you're like, "Oh, okay, it's a side mission."
The amount of times I'm just walking
people are
around and
crazy.
someone will start talking to me and then Arthur refuses to look anywhere except where
Except
they're
for
at.
that.
Then I'm like, okay, this is like a scheduling. Because like there was a time where I was getting up and like these girls ran up to me and started asking me about going into town. And I was just trying to walk away. I'm like, "I'm going hunting. Leave me alone." They're like, "No, Arthur, take us to town. We won't
Take
mess
us to
around."
In
I was like, oh my
Valentine.
gosh. And so
What's really funny is the first time I ever did that mission with those girls, I got on the carrier and I came across like the intersection, and when I did, the wheel came off the wagon and they were like, "We have to repair it." It was wrong where it was because it was in front of the train tracks, and the train came and killed us all.
I was I would. Okay, I'll say this, and then we need to start the
Yeah, then we gotta start the podcast.
Red Dead.
Red Dead.
So like you can do that fast travel where it just is a nice little like video where it watches or anything.
Yeah.
I did that to travel, right? And there's a point where I had to be on the railroad tracks. And I just was like watching something off to the side as it's fast traveling. And I look over and I hear my guy kind of making a noise as it has my character on the horse has like weirdly pathed into another
train
horse
track.
person.
Oh, okay.
And we're on the railroad track. And then right whenever I see this, I'm like, "What the heck?" And so I get off. So I mess with it. I get pushed off my horse, and it's the other guy apparently gets angry at me, and then like he's threatening me, and then a train just comes and runs us both over. And I'm like, I thought the like instant travel or the pathing travel would be, I don't know, better than that. To just allow my guy to run right in front of another horse and then we just collide together. I was so confused. I'm like, why can't there just be a quick travel in this game? I would be so much happier if there was just quick travel period in this game instead of this cinematic camera. Well, Austin, speaking of cinematic cameras, we get to watch another cinematic camera. No, I can. Austin, this week we watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Netflix adaptation.
Yeah.
I made you watch Avatar: The Last Airbender as one of our first shows that we did on this podcast a year or two ago.
Yes, it was. It was a show that everyone wanted me to watch, and I got around finally to watch it.
Yeah, I had to literally make a podcast to force you to do it, and that worked.
Yeah.
So, Austin, I have to say, what did you think of Avatar: The Last Airbender, Netflix version adaptation?
So I learned something this week. And it might just be the old stubborn me in me.
It's probably that.
I don't think animated shows should be made into live action. I just think that it kind of loses its oomph. there's not really a show that has really stuck out to me that was like, this is as good as the animation. Like I've watched like Cowboy Bebop, you know, like for instance, it was good to me, but it wasn't like, you know, like the greatest thing ever. Like I think the anime is way better. But also too is I feel the same way with Avatar Last Airbender. But also I feel the same way about One Piece, Death Note, like a lot of those like things that become live action.
To be fair, you just named off everything that Netflix has done adaptation for.
Well, but the thing
also,
is,
to be fair,
like,
I don't know of much of other like live action versions being made by things.
well, the only thing that's because that's the thing is like you don't see a lot of live action versions of it anymore. Like even like cartoons that I loved, you know, that become movies like Ninja Turtles live action. I'm not really a fan of those. I like the 90s ones because it was like cheesy and it's 90s.
We were
but
kids,
it's not.
we couldn't like look into anything important.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like I've just come to the point where I think maybe animation for this kind of style and like how to do things is better as a cartoon than it is a live action, because some of the effects in this show kind of gave me a cringe factor, and it brought back a memory that I did not like.
No.
And that is Dragon Ball Z Evolution.
Yo, okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not surprised you brought that up, but at the same time, I kind of forgot that existed. I'll be honest.
Yeah, there's like the scene at the beginning where Aang like does all this like air stuff and he starts like floating in the air like at the air temple. I'm like, and the first thing that popped in my head was Honest Trailers. Honest Trailers did an Honest Trailers for Dragon Ball Z Dragon Ball Z Evolution, and when they do when him and Roshi does like the air thing, and it's the exact same CGI it looks like, and they like puts out this candle, they added fart noises to it. So every time there was an airbending part in this show, I thought fart noise. Like it was like, and I was like, oh my gosh. But some of the air stuff just didn't work. I don't think the CGI was like, it was better than, I will say it's better than M. Night Shyamalan. It is miles better than M. Night Shyamalan. I'll agree with that.
I've never seen that. I've been lucky enough to dodge that whole series.
You are 100%. I went with my buddy Dominic when it first came out, and he was like, okay, they finished on book 1. And I was like, book 1? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, a 2-hour movie. And he's like, yeah, but I'm not really a fan of this movie. And I was like, well, if you're saying that, that means, and that was my first rendition of Avatar. So then I was like, why do I want to watch this? Because this wasn't great. And then when I watched the anime, I was like, oh, that's why people hate this, is because it's really bad. So I was like, okay, what? So when I watched this live action, I wasn't really a fan of it. I felt like there was a lot of issues I had with it, but there is some things that did shine in it that I loved, and I did like some of the directions they went with, and like how graphic they went a little bit sometimes, which was fine, because the thing is like in the anime they kind of try to be a little adultish, but they couldn't because it was Nickelodeon and it was a kids show still. But I'm not really a fan of this, and I think it's just because I'm starting to believe that maybe if it's an animated cartoon, just keep it as an animated cartoon.
Do you now understand my mindset whenever I bring up that I personally believe animation to be the perfect medium telling?
Well, yeah, like, because it's not, it doesn't feel like it's out of place. I think it's because of like in real life, in live action, it feels kind of out of place. And it could just be also too, I think what really probably ruined CGI for me, because I have a lot of problems with CGI. Like, I think it was Transformers. I think Transformers is the thing that ruined me on CGI, because at the time we were being overloaded with CGI and everything. And it got to a point where I don't really like live action CGI because it just doesn't look good really on a screen. Now there is some good movies that I've watched and shows where I'm like, okay, the CGI is really good. But then I've seen a lot of CGI where I was like, what were they thinking? Like Secret Wars. Oh my gosh. Like the ending of Secret Wars. That I'm so glad we didn't watch that show.
I don't watch.
I'll send you a clip
okay.
of the ending with Emily Clark. and she gets all the powers of the Avengers. Daenerys Targaryen.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I was just.
She's in the show, and she gets all the powers of the Avengers, and she gets CGI'd really badly. And then you can tell, well, maybe Disney should stop overworking their animators, like their CGI people, because it's showing. And I don't know, lately CGI to me has been kind of like rough. Like you can tell when people are overworked a little bit. But I agree with you 100%. After I started watching this, like, I think that maybe Josiah's got something here, because I'm starting to believe myself that the only medium that would work in this way is cartoon animation, because it works. Like it's something that doesn't have to be, oh, this is a real person. They can bend. It's more of like, this is a cartoon. Well, this is an animation. You can do stuff that you can't do.
Yeah, well, so when I say animation is the best medium for storytelling, I don't mean just like this series. I mean just in general. I personally find animation to be the best storytelling.
Oh yeah.
Because you're able to do scenes, effects, and styles in different ways as things are like called for. This show, the one thing I'll say, like I personally, I tried coming at this from a completely new perspective, even though I'm a huge fan of the original series. I tried to be really open with this. I'm not going to say it's terrible. I'm going to say if someone likes this show, I'm like, yeah, you would probably love the animated show.
Yeah.
I
think this is a good starting point for that too. I think that's a good starting point.
Yeah.
If someone was like, I really like this show, hopefully you like the anime because this is what it's based on. And maybe
there's just a couple issues with this, right?
Yes, there is.
The issue with it is my personal opinion, I feel like they butchered the characters of the show. With the exception of a couple. I feel like a couple characters did really well, but I feel like they really tried to... Okay. I'm going to say this. And I know that you'll probably understand me, but I really want to explain it in this term. You know that terminology where they're like when adults try to write for kids and then they don't feel right?
Yeah.
That's how I felt the whole time when I heard Aang speak at all in this show. Every time he spoke with like the knowledge and understanding of a 20-something-year-old kid, like person. And I'm like, he's a kid though. Like, why is he over here talking about like great dilemmas of not being there for people or all this stuff? Like, Aang in the show, in the original series, was very like childlike because he was a kid. Like, that was his whole big thing. He's like, I just want to be a kid. And in this show, he's not like that at all, and I find him actually too adult-like. And I'm not going to sit here and try to like I'm not going to sit here and just say like, well, it's different from this or it's not that or whatnot. But it's very hard to like talk about this show and not talk about the original series. Because one, you know where everything's going, and I understand some of the changes they made to the show based upon that. I think I just prefer the characters from the animated version to the characters of this version. I think that's just plain and simple the truth.
I agree.
When you talk about the animation, like the CGI and everything of that sort, I will say yes, except for one element. I think fire was handled very well.
Yes.
I liked how they did the fire stuff. Earth was handled kind of 50-50 to me. Water was the worst thing I've ever seen. Every time someone used water bending of any sort, all I could think of was someone off to the side with a squirt gun going squirt, squirt, because it never looked like it did anything worth mentioning. The only time it looked like it was functionally like possibly devastating is whenever Katara would freeze it into icicles and chuck at people, but you never see like the gruesome like impaling of someone with it, and so it didn't feel challenging. She like slaps someone in the face with water and it sends them flying. I'm like, that's not enough. Like, you need more. Like, water just feels so pathetic and weak in this. And like you mentioned like the air, I think they did air actually decently good. The number one thing I will say, the Kyoshi fight, where she jumped down into the Kyoshi area and just started wrecking people. That was solid. I'm like, okay, this is kind of what I envisioned Kyoshi as. But it felt Kyoshi just kind of like, one, they realized that Kyoshi was a fan favorite, and so they went in on Kyoshi, and then they kind of like removed Roku from the mix. I found that hilarious. Like everything Roku originally did, they're like, nah, we'll just give that to Kyoshi. Let's not even add Roku in except for like a single blip. I found that hilarious because a lot of people hate Roku and they love Kyoshi. But yeah, I think the number one issue I have with this show, and if you're looking at it only from the show itself, it's not terrible. It's pacing. It feels like they like tried to condense the show into, they didn't try condensing the show into episodes, but then more condensed it into themes. And so they kind of rushed themes.
Yeah.
And they didn't give like things time to believe. Like, I know like some people were upset that they kind of took away Sokka's like misogyny. Is he supposed to have like that arc where he's like, women can't fight, and then, oh, I get humbled by the Kyoshi warriors. Honestly, I thought this handled it pretty nicely, where he didn't say like, oh, women can't fight, but more of like, oh, I'm this great warrior, and he's humbled in the mindset of being like, I'm not a good warrior, I'm not a good sailor, I'm not a good commander, I'm kind of trash, and I need to humble myself to like ask to learn. I still miss the original like conjunction because there's more to it, right? There's more to that. There's more to him and Katara's kind of organized group, but I didn't think it was the worst thing ever. Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's little things whenever I'm watching this that I'm like, I wasn't a fan of this, so I'm trying to really think about like all the things that I am a fan of. I liked that in the Kyoshi village, the leader is Suki's mom, because the thing that never made sense to me growing up was like, there's a male who's the leader of the Kyoshi warriors, and it's like, wait, if all the warriors are females, why is there a male in charge? Like, that seems a little weird and different than it is. And the show's like, it makes sense for it to be a female. I'm like, yeah, I agree with that. I don't like... Ooh! One thing I will say right now that I liked what they did. Ko the Face Stealer. I liked what they did with him. I thought they handled him pretty well. I just was kind of disappointed that they mixed him in with the whole Spirit Forest storyline instead of just like driving him in his own point. Because personally, I thought that was well done, like handled pretty well. I didn't like the fact that Aang just was like immune to his powers versus him having to show no emotion. But I did like Koi in this. I don't even think his name's Koi. I forget his name, but the face stealer dude who steals Avatar's last wife's face. Or
well, yeah, and that's one of my favorite episodes of the series, like the animated series, is when he goes to that town and finds out there's like this thing from another world that's like, taking these town soul people. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I really like that episode, and it's weird. I like that episode, so that's why I like it. I like weird stuff.
To be fair, did you get Stranger Things vibe from the versions of it?
Yeah.
I'm like, that looks like a redone model of the what are those called? Demigorgons or whatever they are?
Yeah, Demigorgons. Yeah.
It felt like they just like skinned it over with more of an Avatar look, and they're like, hey, it's the monster. I'm like, it looks like a Demigorgon.
Yeah, it's not the same thing that we have license for. No.
Don't ask questions. Just do it.
So there is a couple things I will say. I do not like. I am one of those people that's on the wagon of Sokka not being misogynistic. I really miss that because it does have character development with him like being humbled.
And it's a quick
which is which is fine.
It's not
But
a long character growth thing.
No,
About it.
no,
It was
no.
quick. Like it was only what
But the
4 episodes in, and then they go to Kyoshi Island,
3 to 4 episodes, yeah.
something like that. I don't know.
The problem that I have is I felt like Sokka was more of a comic relief,
I didn't
and
get
that's
that at
all
all.
it was. Oh man,
When he was in the show, I'm like, it feels like this guy wants to be the comic relief, but his comic relief is him just being like, Monday, am I right? Like that's what I felt like he was doing the whole time. I'm
yeah,
like,
he was Garfield.
This isn't comic relief. I felt Aang was too tight. Aang was too like tight of the thing.
Serious.
There was no kid in him, which I will say this. I saw a TikTok where they were showing behind the scenes with the actor and how he was like joking and playing around. I'm like, that's what we needed. Have Aang be like a fun kid. Like he's a kid. Let him enjoy himself. And they're just like, no, he has to be like, I have to save the world. I let all these people die. Blah blah.
I
blah.
will say there is a couple characters that I really liked, and I think that they were really well for the character to portray that character. I think Zuko was a perfect character. I really.
Oh, Zuko. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, Zuko. I think
wow,
that
we're having
the first-
flashbacks to the because I remember when we initially did Avatar: Last Airbender for the first like 2 shows of book 1 and book 2, you kept messing up all the people's names and mixing them up.
Yeah.
I just had a flashback right there when you did that. But yes, Zuko, go on.
Yeah, so Zuko here. I actually enjoyed the actor, and I think that he portrayed him very well, and he was believable to be this this kid that was an outcast because of and I thought anytime he was on the screen most of the time, I actually enjoyed his interactions that he had, especially with the Avatar and some of the fighting he did, and he felt like this person that is lost. And I think Uncle Iroh, that actor is pretty good too. I think he's decent. I have no problem except for Sokka. I'm not a fan of how he is. To me, I got comic relief because some of the things he would do, it was just like, haha, look at me. I made this thing and it protects. And watch, if you want to try it, it's that. And then like she does it and he's like, like, nah, comic relief. I just feel like some of the dialogue too in this show was a little weird.
It was. It again, it felt like a 30, 40-year-old man writing lines for a kid. And so it just came off wrong.
There was a part in the show where the dialogue made me like pause for a second. It was like, did that just happen? Is this a fever dream? Like what happened? And it was the part where, where he becomes like the water spirit, and the girl's like, he formed into the spirit with the water, and I'm like,
he doesn't exist no more. Aang is gone.
I was like, what is this, chat GBT? Like, it's just that part. And then what's really funny is Honest Trailers. I watched the Honest Trailers after this, and they brought that up too. They're like, yeah, some of this dialogue is really bad, and some of it's like ripped right from the show. Like a lot of it's ripped from the show. Like, I rolled my eyes every time that they'd be like, earth, wind, fire.
Oh my gosh.
And all that.
I cringed. The first episode was really hard for me to get by.
Oh yeah. Oh,
and
it was.
They calmed down as the series went on. But in the first episode, like 2 times, really quickly, they're just like, earth, wind, water, fire. These nation lives in harmony for millennium. Like, it's like, okay, we get it. Oh, now the grandma's saying it too. Oh, great, now this random person saying it too. Okay, I get, like, cool, whatever. It made me feel whatever. The parts that made me cringe more than anything else, like the talks, yes, it was the reusing animated scenes in the show. And I think there's one particular, I think they show it in the Netflix trailer here, where Aang's on the air, like his air hover ball or whatever you want to call it, and he spins around and then he flies into the one statue. That's from the original show. And seeing that done in live action, it looks right here. Here it is. He just runs it. It looks insanely cheesy. And watching it play out in the show was even worse. I'm like, it feels cheesy to see, and it doesn't feel right seeing it. And there was a couple other things like that where it happened at different parts. But yeah, there's just little things like that. I thought like the CG for most of the stuff was fine. There is one thing I did notice. The show was high end on the budget. Like they did budget cuts. No, that's not the term. Not budget cuts, but like budget takes, where anything that was high CGI was not in the show a lot. Like we get introduced to Momo and Appa, and they come in for like, here's my 5 seconds of Momo and Appa, and we're out. You won't see us again. It's all close-ups of the different characters, and it's funny to me because whenever they got to where was it? It was the shrine where they go into the spirit world. That Momo jumps down, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot he was in the show. They never show him.
Yeah.
I just was like, they do that a lot, and it's because like CGI takes budget. You don't have to worry about that in animation, which is why it feels a little more fantastical and I enjoy it a little more. But yeah, outside of that, outside of the stuffs, a couple of the things that I will praise it for is the one bounty hunter girl, the one who has like that mole badger that can smell things. Freaking perfect. I thought that was a
she was
spot
solid.
on
She was
person.
solid. Yep.
Outside of her being a little more like bubbly than I thought she would be, the actual like whole thing, Nala or whatever she calls it, that was basically perfect, like ripped out of my memory, like core memory and thrown in there. I was like, dang, okay, that's solid. I despise the Boomy that they had, just because I'm that to me, Boomy was one of my favorite characters. That I did not like their rendition of that.
Well, I didn't. Wait, which one's Boomy?
Boomy's the Earth King, or not the Earth King, the King of Umashu. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because like in the show, he's like a free-loving, like he still has kid-like energy, and that's why he connects with Aang. And then he finds out like, oh, you're Boomy, and that's like part of his trial. While on this show, within the first like 4 seconds of him meeting, he's like, oh my gosh, you're Boomy. He's like, yeah, but I'm old and bare and mad you for disappearing, and because I see you now, I'm gonna be a piece of crap towards you because you left us and I went through crap.
No,
I didn't like it because like Boomy was supposed to be like this good friend who like was sage-like advice. The one issue I have, because we can talk about this because we know where the show goes.
Yeah.
They obviously fixed certain things that didn't make sense in the long run. Like for instance, Yue being betrothed to the person, even though she like knew that she was going to probably like, she owed the spirit something, right? It makes sense for her to cut off because she's like, why would I betroth to someone when I'm devoting myself to the spirits, essentially? That makes sense. Kyoshi warriors, the whole concept of them being like, we're isolationists, we do not get involved, and then Suki being like, the war still came to us, mom, we owe the world itself to go out there. Makes complete sense, sets it up for Kyoshi to go out, right? Or to Suki to go out. They like set up Iroh to be more of like a, I don't know, like he doesn't really like have a care about the free spirit and love like he kind of does in the anime. Like in the anime, he's very much more like, you know, enjoy life, enjoy the things of the world. In this one, he's much more of like, like I don't know, I can't describe. He just doesn't feel quite right. I agree with you. I think Zuko's pretty spot on.
I felt the same way with the people in the tunnels, with the person, that rendition of Secret Tunnel.
Oh yeah.
It just felt a little cringe to me a little bit, and it kind of like, nothing against this, but it kind of looked to me. Do you know who Bobby Lee is?
Yeah, I thought that too. I'm like, is that him?
I was like, is that Bobby Lee? I was like, is that Bobby Lee? Please tell me that's Bobby Lee. And it wasn't, but like, it just,
my gosh,
I
my face
don't
is red because
know.
you just, oh my gosh. I exactly thought the same thing, but I wasn't going to bring it up, and now I'm like, I'm blushing because I'm like, I can't believe he brought it up. I can't believe I 100% agreed.
Yeah, and the thing is like I wasn't really a fan of that rendition, and like I kind of felt like it. And the thing is like the reason why I didn't like it is because the cartoon does really well, because the cartoon can do it really well because it's in the light and all that, and they put all that scene in the dark next to a campfire, and I kind of didn't get a vibe of that. It was just like kind of this.
So
weird...
that's one thing. That's one thing they fixed. That I like that they fixed, but I also didn't like their overall show
rendition. Yeah.
And because like the one thing that never made sense in the anime was the whole concept of it's like darkness will lead the way, like love will find the way. Put out your lights, the crystals will glow, and this will lead us along the path.
Yeah.
But it never made sense how that actually worked.
Yeah.
But then in the other part of the show, you have the mole people pushing through and like blocking things, all that stuff. And okay, you're gonna want to take care of something. But like, so like in the show, having the mole people be like, oh, that's actually how you get through the path, is just straight up earth bending with these moles. I'm like, okay, that makes a little more sense, because it didn't make sense how the lovers could get through this with actual airbenders moving around. I don't know. There's just a lot of things there. I just really I missed that episode kind of set up where it's Aang and them going through it, and then you have the first like real budding of Aang x Katara. I feel like this show right now is setting them up not as Aang x Katara, but just like we're all friends. And that feels weird to me because it doesn't feel natural. I don't feel like they're actually friends. Like, it does not seem like they're friends in this. It just feels like they're all companions more than anything else. I don't know. Maybe I'm just So, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just me. That's my little like figurative rant. I still say like once I got past the first couple episodes, I was engaged in watching it, but as a fan of the original series, I have super biases towards this, and I acknowledge that.
Well, no, I agree, and the thing is like it's just like how I feel with I think it's kind of like how I feel with The Watchmen. Like how I am with The Watchmen. Like I'm not really a fan of the movie, but I respect people that do like the movie, and I respect. Yeah, a lot of people do. But I think I really think the best rendition of The Watchmen isn't the Watchmen comic book. It's actually the TV show.
It's the game. I mean, what?
Yeah, the game. No. But the thing is like I have a bias against it, and that's probably because it's a book thing. It's just like any other book thing. Really, in reality, who's really read a book and was like, the movie is amazing, because the thing is,
fans. Checkmate, atheists.
But most of the time it's not. Or Lord of the Rings, like people love Lord of the Rings, but the thing is like there's a lot of movies that just the movie just falls flat of the book. So then it's because people love the original source material. Like I love American Gods, the show is awful. I like Sandman, but do I like Sandman, the graphic novel, over the show? Yes, I will, because I think the graphic novel is perfect. But I totally respect people when they say they like that kind of stuff. And I'm the same way with The Watchmen, where like someone's like, I like the movie. I was like, I get it. Like, it's a good show. Like it's good. I'm just a fan of the book and I'm very biased with it. Yeah. But I totally understand. And when someone told me, what was it? I went into my local game store. And of course, people are going to talk, and I was looking at singles, and the guy was like, yeah, me and my girlfriend watched it and we loved it. It was really good. And it was like, whatever. And then she was, the other girl that was there was like, well, I've been debating on watching it because I do like the anime a lot. And he's like, well, I think it did pretty good justice. And then I was like, well, there was a couple things I had problems with. And I think this is, and she agreed. She was like, yeah, that's what's keeping me away from watching it. And I said, yeah, that's, if you don't like that, it's probably going to be on your head the whole time when you watch that show, is to be like, hey, and it's not, it's
that, yeah. And that, to be fair, is like most things. Like, I know like the fans of Lord of the Rings, like if you grew up watching the movie initially and then you read the book, you will still love the movie and take it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were like a fan of the books before watching the movie, there's a lot of things you get hung up on with like certain things set up. They're like, why'd they remove Tom Bombadil and like random things like that. And I understand both of those perspectives because I've been on both sides of those perspectives where I watched something before the series, for instance, Watchmen, right? I watched the movie The Watchmen before I read the books, and I understand why a lot of people like those books, and I understand some of the great stuff from it. Look, whatever. And it's a graphic novel, Austin. But like, I watched the movie, and I'm like, I still like how the movie ended over the book or the graphic novel. And some people will fight me on that, and I'm like, cool, man. It's just my preference is all. Like, I acknowledge that.
And there is things that I have read that I love, but I think movies have done them better. Like V for Vendetta. V for Vendetta, the graphic novel. The movie, phenomenal. I like the movie a lot, and I think the movie like fixes things that were part of the graphic novel's problem. And funny story, Alan Moore, who wrote Watchmen, is the same guy that wrote V for Vendetta. So that's the thing. Like, it's weird that I like the original ending from Watchmen, but I don't like the original ending from V for Vendetta, and like some of the things that they do in the V for Vendetta graphic novel. And the thing is they change that. Like, the thing is it's going to change. Like The Boys, there's a lot of things they changed from The Boys from the graphic novels, and I totally understand why. But like, I'm okay with this show because if someone says I like this show and they've never watched the animated version of this, I think that this would be a good thing to be like, hey, hopefully you'll get around to watching the animated version.
Maybe. Because here's my honest take, right? If you're more of an adult and you have not seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, watching this, and if you like this show, you may 50-50 not like the animated show. Because the animated show is very much set to be on like a kid, and it's not until around season 2 that the tone shift to be more of like adolescent or like what is that, like a preteen / young adult kind of like themes. Because like the first season is very like kid trying to just enjoy his life, becoming the Avatar, and then it becomes more darker and like heavy on the war theme. This one starts off very much from the get-go like dark theme. This guy gets burned alive. This guy gets burned alive. And that's all you see people die from in this show, is just being burned alive. You never see people die from other like meaningful means. I actually, now that I said that, I can't think of another way someone died in this show other than being burned or killed in some way like that. Can you think of someone?
I don't know. And it's when you said that, it reminded me of a movie that I don't like.
I really can't think of someone who did get.
I don't think so.
I mean, unless you count all those people that get knocked off, like from Aang using his wind blast, or like at the end with all the water stuff. I'm sure they died, but you don't see it in a graphic detail as like Sozin literally burning all those people to crisp. Oh yeah, that is one thing. I'm gonna say this before we end in any way. I don't like them trying to make Sozin sympathetic to some degree, because I'm like, why did you try to make Sozin seem like he's sympathetic, like he didn't want to like burn or like attack Zuko? Why are you doing this? This doesn't seem right. It doesn't, like, whatever. I don't know. I just, again, biasness towards the animation, and I understand that. And if people came here, they're like, we want to hear your opinion, not be biased of it. It's really freaking hard. I realize that now. It's really freaking hard because I enjoyed that so much, and I personally felt like the longer something has, the better it is. This show, I will say this, if they would have gave it 2 more episodes, I think they could have fixed some of the pacing issues I have. But they freaking needed to have Aang be more of a kid. They needed them to be more kid, because it doesn't feel right with that. Also, I know that they're purposely like got like people a little younger so they could age up throughout the seasons. I just feel like Azula and her friends look really young. Like they look like preteen, like 12 years old. And I'm sure that that's not actually how old they are. They just look that old to me, and I think it's because they have like more childlike face than like even Zuko's kind of on that scale. When I see Zuko like kind of around, like he looks really really young. Sokka looks like the only teenager of this group. Everyone else looks kind of like too young. And I know that will probably go away after more and more seasons come out, so I probably won't have that issue. It's kind of weird to me that you have all these like big burly men in the Fire Nation, and then Azula's like a fraction of their size, walking around being like, "Yeah, Thunder." But we'll see. I think next season, if they take some of the criticisms that people throw out, I think next season has the possibility of being good if they do it.
Yeah.
And if Netflix listens and they make alterations to the writing and everything of that sort, I'm open. I think the cast is fine. I'm willing to give them all a chance and to go. I just feel like they did Roku wrong. They did Paku wrong. Gosh dang, did they do Paku like dirty, man? Making him like, yeah, no. In like the anime, he's like very like pro spirits. He's like, I care for spirits. I like spirits. And this one's like, yeah, I murdered spirits who were bad. And then like I was nice to good ones. And it's like, man, they turned Paku 180 and they made him can't use the Avatar state anymore. That's messed up, buddy.
Yep. But yeah, overall, things need to be fixed, certain things. But, you know, it's a good starting point for people. So yeah, next week.
Yeah, so with that being done and Molly looking at me like I just insulted her ancestors, Austin, next week we're going to do a show that I've been wanting to do for a while, that we've had some difficulty with finding where to go because it's all over the place. And for the longest time, the last season you could not find on any streaming services, but that has changed. And the show I want us to watch is a show from when I was in like high school / college called Being Human. Do you know anything about the show, Austin? Coming up.
The only thing that I read is the synopsis.
Okay. It is super early, I would say 2010, trying to be dark, but at the same time, I don't know. We'll see if you like it or not. There's 4 seasons of it, 13 episodes, 45 minutes each. I will say right now, one of my favorite actors in it is Sam Witwer. He's a pretty big nerd. He's very known now for like Star Wars. He did all the what was it, Clone Wars, I think it was, that he did the animation stuff. He's also Star Killer in the one show, the movie. I find him very charismatic, very enjoyable. And this was kind of like the first show I watched that followed like a vampire. Because, quick synopsis, it's about a vampire, a ghost, and a werewolf living together, and hijinks assume. No, it's actually a lot of like darker stuff, and the idea of them trying to fight their inner demons to be just regular, normal human beings. And I can't remember if I really liked the show. I just knew that I liked it for the time. So we'll see if it holds up now.
Let's have fun.
Yeah, let's see it. And I'll force Austin to do this, and we'll see. Also, we do have a lot of shows that we're waiting for them to finish, like Shogun, Invincible. I know The Boys is coming out soon.
Yeah,
stuff like that. If we've already made a decision, since this show is so old, because it's like 2011 to 2014 when this show came out. Hey, Austin, are you on our Twitch?
Yes.
Are we still going?
Yeah.
Okay. The application just crashed.
Oh. I see your Twitch and it's
good.
Fine.
I'm going to click that once it's done. But anyways, Austin, that's what we're going to watch for the next part of
and
the
you can
episode.
find it on Peacock. You can find it on Peacock.
Find it on Peacock, so check that out. Yeah, without further ado, the system crashed on my side, so I can't properly end the stream. So thank you all so much for stopping by, and thank you all so much for tuning in. Bye, Molly. Yeah, we got a crash. See ya. Oh, wait. Okay.